Hey everyone, so I wanted to do kind of a mini series here about small knives in general, but I want part of that to be the push dagger because it's something that I never really was interested in. I thought they were kind of hokey, but then I started kind of looking at them and seeing that they could fit in some pretty tight spaces. So I ordered the small set, and I also ordered this little super edge. And these are all cold steel, by the way, just because that's what's available and easy to get. I'm not pushing any brand over another, but cold steel kind of leads the way with these little small, really affordable, not just push daggers, but also, as you can see on the right side, the little super edge. So from left to right, we got the Mini Pal, the Urban Pal, the Urban Edge, which I have in full serrated, but they have other options. And then this is the Super Edge. And here's kind of the deal with the sheath. So I'm gonna jump ahead here a little bit because the sheaths are kind of tied up, so to speak. So this one for the Mini Pal is super basic. It has a little spot here for one little attachment point. Okay, and you could, the Mini Pal and the Urban Pal are not that much different. I mean, the handle is very similar in size. The blade is bigger, but I mean, when you're talking about that size, it's not a huge functional difference, right? But here's where I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. This is the sheath for the Urban Pal. So I'm jumping ahead here because I'm showing that I already have it on my shoe. But you could see that look at the difference in size. The Mini Pal, I'm sorry that the camera's not really in focus, but the Mini Pal is much smaller, right? Mini Pal. The Mini Pal is much smaller, okay? So that's the big functional difference to me, is the sheath. These two, you could really go with either one. Honestly, it doesn't really matter that much. But the sheath is what's going to kind of determine which one you go with and what you're trying to do with it. And then the Urban Edge I have there. So I am going to go down kind of this rabbit hole. That may be in another video. I just wanted to introduce you to the players here. But this is so here's, for comparison, there's the Mini, and there's the second and third size up. Okay, so now I will say that the Urban Edge is definitely a bigger blade. I mean, there's no denying that that's going to do a lot more damage. So between these two, I would say the main difference is the sheath, and then once you start going to the Urban Edge, you're really kind of choosing based on size at that point. They do have bigger ones. They're out of stock where I was looking, and at first I wasn't interested in the bigger ones at all, but now I kind of am. So I will get those eventually. And then last here we have this little Super Edge. And the sheath for that is right here. Now, the thing about this is it has a pretty pronounced guard on it, okay? Which means the sheath is not all that slim, which makes your carrying options a little harder because you have to account for that wide opening for the guard. So right off the bat, I'm going to tell you these two, I have come up with some pretty good ways to carry. I already showed them to you, but I'm still testing them. But so far, I like that. I think these two sizes are perfect for specifically the scenario that I have them on right now. I think if I were to swap them around, meaning if I were to put the smaller one here, and then the bigger one here. I don't think it would work, right? I think they're kind of perfect for each scenario. I am struggling with these two. I will say you can use a zip tie to go through, and I'm not gonna actually do it, but I'll kind of show you what I mean. So what I have kind of found is if you put a zip tie with a little bit of a diagonal, you can get a little bit of a cant on your knife, which, like a handgun, a cant helps with concealability. So if you're trying to tuck this behind your belt, and that's what you do, you know, obviously you want to tighten this up, or you can use paracord or whatever. I'm just showing you, just for demonstration purposes, I'm using this. The belt goes through there, either outside the belt, or you can tuck it in behind the belt. But it helps sometimes, depending on how you're doing it, to have a little bit of a cant, right? Straight up and down. Sometimes it's uncomfortable with a little bit of a cant. Sometimes that helps just that little bit with the comfort or concealability, depending on where on your body you have it. Okay. So that being said, I really haven't tried much yet. I was waiting for these. These are the ulti clips. And just like I thought when I ordered them, these do not fit in any of these holes, and they're all the same size. So all the sheets have these same little size holes. None of these fit on there. So I might try a zip tie, but honestly, I thought about putting a clip on this one so it goes on the belt here. But then I looked at my other pants, and they're not as wide. Now these are Vertex, but I have normal jeans, and these are nowhere near as wide on the jeans. So that probably wouldn't work that well. So I'm gonna stick to this for testing, and I'll do videos on that later. But yeah, so as of now, I really don't have a very good way to carry these two. If you can think of something, let me know, because that would help me out. I do have a couple small ideas that I'm going to test. I'm not going to say anything about them now because I don't know if they're going to work at all. But the clip, especially this small one, I think is a good idea if you can somehow get it actually screwed onto these holes. There may be smaller Chicago screws. I don't have any. I've looked. I haven't seen anything smaller than like the standard one. If you know some, let me know, because that would probably make it a lot easier. And I think that's probably what I would go with, is the ulti clip on here. You can also zip tie it, but it's not going to be like really pinched. It's going to flop around, so you're going to have to somehow do something to keep it from moving around. So you'll need maybe multiple zip ties. Kind of a pain. I messed with it a little bit. Wasn't really happy with it. So I may just try on this one anyways, kind of this belt option just to start with. And then here, I don't really know. I don't really know what I'm going to do with that. I do have a couple small options that I'm going to try. So that's not completely true. I have some options, but they're kind of brainstorming right now. They're not really fully fledged out. But, so that's the first look at EDCing these small little blades, tucking them into little places that you might want a spare blade that's out of the way. These are meant to be sort of the last ditch, or maybe not even last ditch, actually. Especially with this one, you know, I can actually see where you would grab this one instead of, you know, like a larger blade or whatever, especially if you open carry a blade. Like a lot of times you can see the pocket clip, and I notice pocket clips on everybody, by the way. If I'm just walking around town, at the grocery store, right, I see pocket clips. I see who has a pocket knife, right? So if I were to get into, somebody were to start some beef with me and I see that pocket clip, you better believe I'm watching their hand and making sure it doesn't go to that pocket clip, because I know they're going to pull a knife out. So this is kind of that scenario where maybe it's a sleight of hand. You let them see your knife, and you let them see you not being anywhere near a knife, but you have another knife stowed away in the form of these little push daggers that is actually easy to grab, can do some pretty bad damage. I mean, this is a nasty blade, and that may be just enough to, instead of going for your main knife, this may be enough to give you that extra time if somebody kind of rushes you and they're looking to make sure you don't grab your pocket knife, to jam up, to jam you up, kind of pin your hand or whatever. If you're reaching for something else, or you're reaching with your offhand because you're not having to manipulate a blade in the form of a standard knife fighting, all you're doing is punching. You may want your normal hand out where they can see you not going for your pocket knife, and then your offhand grabs a knife kind of surreptitiously, and then you can go for the punch. And of course, this assumes self-defense, right? I would never never make these videos to help anybody do anything they're not supposed to do. So also check your laws. I know some jurisdictions don't like push knives. As far as I know, they don't even sell on Amazon. I wasn't able to find any. I could find all the other cold steel, right? Massive blade swords, but a little, 1-inch push dagger, Amazon won't sell it apparently, from what I understand. So check your laws. Make sure you're not doing anything stupid or illegal. But other than that, this is the first video. I'm going to make a couple more. I'm going to kind of go over the carry of them. It's kind of in process testing. But if you have any comments, if you have any helpful tips for me, right, if you've been carrying one of these, let me know. This one, so this is definitely more of a protection knife, but I do actually find myself kind of using it to cut stuff. So I'm not saying it's not a utility blade. It absolutely can be. But I'm going to look at these in the context of EDC, kind of hidden carry, right? Because I'll carry any knife I want. Where I live, I can, with very, very, very minor exceptions, literally carry anything I want anywhere I want. And I don't care what anybody thinks. I will carry, let's see, let me show you a couple things. This is my standard EDC, 5.5-inch Voyager, right? That's what I carry all the time. So I don't really care. I also usually carry some sort of fixed blade, either the mini Pendleton, this little boot knife. I do have a cold steel spike that I like. And I just got this little condor here, which is great. And I'll carry all of these open, right? I don't care. I don't have to care legally, and I just don't. So I carry what I want, where I want. So that's not the context of these videos here, is kind of carrying whatever you want. We're going to assume that these are hidden. At least these three are meant to be a little more secretive, right? And then this one, I'm going to look at both. I'm going to look at both defense and utility, because I think this is actually a really good utility blade. But it does, you could definitely use that. If you put your finger right here and start slashing, you could. But I'm going to look at this one as both a utility and a defense, and then these I'm going to really focus on just defense. So I'll see you guys in the next iteration of this series. And again, if there's anything you can help me out with, put it in the comments below. See ya.